All right, so bear with me. I've been teaching all week and my voice might be a little hoarse, so I apologize in advance. My name is Jake Hostetler. I am a senior middle school intervention specialist. Now, in preparing for today's event, I have heard several UD staff members say that this is their favorite event of the year. By the end of our time together, this might just be your favorite event of the year as well. The student stories you will hear today will illustrate how special the UD experience is and how the experience is possible thanks to donors like you. It is only fitting today that the first day of Donor Appreciation Week, we celebrate you, your generosity, and your impact on this university. Whether your donation resulted in a scholarship that made coming to UD a financial possibility for a student, made a summer internship accessible, or helped a student discern their vocation through participation in a spiritual retreat, your choice to invest in us is so very appreciated. I'd like to invite University of Dayton President Eric Spina to the podium. In the Flyer community, President Spina is our biggest supporter. His leadership and direction has created an energy, a presence that can be felt on campus throughout the city of Dayton and beyond. Please join me in welcoming President Spina to the stage.
Thank you, Jake. A warm Flyer welcome to everyone. Jake referenced earlier, this is a lot of people's favorite event of the year, and I plead guilty to that. In addition to commencement, I mean that's a favorite day as well, because it really captures what the University of Dayton is about. Our students, not all of them are here, but we have some great representative students who are here, who are working hard to achieve their dreams, and our donors, whose generosity of spirit, generosity of wallet, allow us to attract these students and many others and retain our brightest, most talented people who really benefit from being at this university, at this Catholic and Marianist University. In talking with students today, and as I often do throughout the week, continue to be impressed how our students use their scholarships as a springboard to a well-rounded education. You're not going to find students in here who are one-dimensional. UD students really are deeply engaged in the life of the university in many ways. And they will use that education to prepare them for lives of great purpose, and we certainly hope lives of great joy. And when people talk to me, what's different about a University of Dayton student? That's actually what I point to. Our students really think about education as a means not just to get a job, not just to earn a living, but a way to live a life of purpose and to contribute to the world or society in some way. And I want to be clear to the donors. Our students here and many across the university are here because of you. The scholarships they hold are helping to alleviate their financial burden of attending a private institution. The scholarships allow them to choose our university, a quality, holistic, Catholic, Marianist education over other universities which these days are fighting hard to compete with us for the best students. The scholarships you provide that our students receive open the door to so much more. Valuable experiential learning opportunities, study abroad, professional connections, and lasting friendships, which is one of the things that our students really find here that do last them a lifetime. As you'll soon discover from the 4 students on the panel, their majors are as diverse as their campus experiences, yet one thread is woven throughout their stories. These are students who embody the Marianist philosophy of learn, lead, and serve. I think you'll be inspired by their passion and the quality and depth of their experiences that each is receiving, again, both inside and outside the classroom. Consider, for example, Keely, who's helped to organize events for first-year women STEM majors. Amira serves as an academic success ambassador for underrepresented students. Kayla is a mass coordinator and leads retreats. And our MC, Jake, as you've heard, is influencing young minds in the classroom, showing by the example of his life that dreams are worth pursuing at all times. And when these students graduate and the other students in the room and the students across the university, just tell the world, watch out. We will continue to see the difference that they make in the world, in their communities, and also in their professions. For a moment, I want you to imagine a future where all talented students, no matter the zip code, no matter that background, are able to pursue a UD degree without financial worry. You are helping us take the first steps to achieve that goal. For some students, that kind of financial support can mean the difference between working 2 jobs or having the flexibility to explore a minor in such demand fields as sustainability or cybersecurity. We're embarking on a cross-cultural immersion trip to Guatemala that will change the way they see the world forever. So we do count, as a private university, on alumni and friends, corporations and foundations for philanthropic support to ensure that a UD diploma remains within the reach of all deserving students, all students who can help make the University of Dayton better. So yes, we do count on you, and you have stepped up. You continue to step up, and we are very pleased. Last fiscal year alone, thanks to your generosity, more than 1,300 students received nearly $6.5 million in donor-funded scholarship support. We established 25 new endowed scholarships, and at a time when the needs of our students expanded greatly because of the pandemic, you helped provide the support they needed. And you have my and our heartfelt gratitude as a university. As we move forward as a university, improving accessibility to an affordable education at UD through greater private support is indeed our top priority. As we prepare to go into a campaign, what we are telling people is number 1 is scholarship support for students. You are providing bedrock help, and I can't thank you enough for your faith in our future, for your care and concern for the university, and for your belief in our students. We see it every day. They are absolutely worth believing in. You are all a blessing to this university that I know we all love. So I'd now like to introduce my friend and colleague, Jason Reinol, the best vice president for enrollment management in the country. Forget the country, in the world. Jason will offer his own reflections, and he'll introduce our student panel.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's really great to see you all. Eric does that to me. He always raises the bar, and that's a privilege to work with a leader like Eric. I join Jake and President Spina in offering my deepest gratitude to every person in this room. It's great to be with friends, our scholar students, and colleagues this morning and this afternoon. Simply, your support is making UD a stronger university. In the midst of significant declines in undergraduate enrollment nationally, throughout the Midwest, and even here in Ohio, UD is celebrating strong momentum and record enrollment, including new highs for the enrollment of historically underserved populations. We're proud. What's more, we are celebrating the success of our students who year over year continue to raise the bar. This year, just establishing a new 4-year graduation rate record. Indeed, your generosity and your support not only makes a significant difference in helping more of our talented students make UD a reality, it also helps them achieve the dream of their degree. Each year, about 80% of our incoming students apply for financial aid and demonstrate some form of financial need. Among many competitive offers, our students are highly sought after because of their talents. They'll receive many competitive offers. And among those, oftentimes, what we know is $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 per year is the tipping point to make becoming a UD flyer possible. Your generosity has made it possible for talented students to benefit from the excellent educational experience that we provide. Every scholarship we can provide and every dollar we can raise to support the need of our students truly makes a difference. Thank you. Speaking of talented students, I don't want to delay. We are all about to be inspired, and it's my distinct honor to introduce you to 4 of our talented students this morning who make all of us UD proud. In listening to their stories, you'll not only gain a sense of all they're doing today and while they're flyers, but also the significant impact that these 4 young people are going to make once they graduate from UD. I'd like to now invite the 4 panelists to join me on the stage. Keely Dryden is a junior civil engineering major from Bellbrook, Ohio. Amira Fitzpatrick is from Lake Villa, Illinois, and is a senior studying sociology and criminal justice studies. You've met Jake already. He's a senior majoring in middle school education, intervention specialist, and is from Miamisburg, Ohio. And Kayla Lenahan is from Avon Lake, Ohio, and a senior studying accounting. We'd like to welcome our panelists. We have a few questions, and I really appreciate our donors who submitted a couple questions in advance. So we'll start with those. Did the scholarships you received impact your decision to attend UD? We'll start with Amira.
So absolutely. I'm the oldest of 5 kids, and being the oldest, I was always at a position where I was extra aware of what was going on in my family life, even if my parents didn't necessarily want us to be aware of that. And for as long as I can remember, my family had a lot of difficulties with our finances. I haven't known financial stability since I was very little. And my parents always made it an effort to send me and my siblings to Catholic schools, which is an extra burden cost-wise, keep us in dance lessons, piano lessons, football practice, soccer practice. And so my family really struggled a lot financially. My parents also made the decision for my mom to stay at home and take care of us, so that was an extra financial burden, and my dad was in and out of jobs for a long time. And so when I was deciding to go to college was never an option for me. I always knew I wanted to go, but it was very uncertain about how I was going to get through and how I was going to pay for things. The ACT, even just visiting colleges was very expensive and very hard on my family. And so when it came down to it, it was very close between a few schools, but UD was the most realistic option for me. It was closer to home. I'm from the Chicago area, so it was closer to home, but far enough away where I wasn't too close to my parents. I really liked the family atmosphere when I toured here. That was very similar to my high school. And I also knew a ton of people from the area going to UD, and teachers, neighbors, people who I knew who had graduated from UD also. And when it came down to it, the cost, it wasn't comparable anywhere else. And so the scholarships that I've received have made it possible to attend here and also stay here, because I don't know what I would be doing without donor-funded scholarships. I wouldn't be able to stay here if it wasn't for donors, because I wouldn't be able to afford it. And I was speaking on the video. I pay for college myself, so scholarships have made it possible for me to stay here and also prepare for my future plans, take off the burden of paying for school, and participate in experiential learning, experiences with friends, leadership opportunities, and just enjoying college in general and focusing on school and my studies.
Thank you, Amira. Keely.
Yes, I would definitely say that 100% that the scholarships impacted my decision to come to UD. I know for a fact without them, I never would have been able to afford to attend here. It's definitely helped offset the cost of tuition and allow me to pursue my interests without devoting all my time outside of classes to working. And it's allowed me to meet people across campus that I never would have been able to, and engage in different experiential learning, such as working as a full-time engineering job as a co-op and participating in other activities that interest me. And I never would have been able to do that without having these donor scholarships. So I really appreciate that. And I believe that it's important to maintain a balance in college of classes, work, and personal interests. And these scholarships have really allowed me to maintain that balance. So.
Thank you, Keely. And while the panelists are speaking, it would be okay if we take off our masks so our guests can hear us more clearly. Jake.
Yeah. So when I first made the decision to return to college, I enrolled full-time at Sinclair Community College originally. And I enrolled at 12 hours, which was barely full-time, to kind of get my feet wet, because it had been over a decade since I had been in college originally. So I wanted to make sure that this was the right decision first and that I was capable of doing this at 30 years old. And my first year at Sinclair, I had a professor that told me about the UD Sinclair Academy, which is a donor-funded program that allows students that are at Sinclair to transfer to UD. And as an education major, if you get in the program, you can come to UD at half-price tuition. Originally, my plan was Sinclair and then another four-year institution because financially, I never thought that UD was an option. As a non-traditional student with kids and a mortgage and car payments and things like that, UD was just, as much as I loved it, it was my dream university. Financially, I just didn't think that it was an option. At least my wife and I didn't think that it was an option. And then when I was told about the UD Sinclair Academy and that being a donor-funded option, it changed my outlook on the fact that UD was an option. And if I can meet these requirements and perform well at Sinclair, that through that donor-funded program, I could actually come to UD, especially knowing how great the education program was here. That was definitely something that I looked into. And I got into the program and was able to then transfer to UD, which lowered tuition costs and the textbook scholarship and all those options made it possible for me to come to UD. And then once being here, I was fortunate enough to then receive both the William Mohr Scholarship as well as the Osher Reentry Scholarship. And both of those have done nothing but continue to lower the student loans and lessen the burden that it's needed for me to financially return to college, which does nothing but continue to help my family as I continue on this journey back to school. So,
Thank you, Jake. And I'll just point out, for the UD Sinclair Academy at the University of Dayton, currently we have 200 students enrolled who began their journey as Academy Scholars. We're really excited about the partnership and the growing nature of the partnership. Each year, we anticipate enrolling 200 new flyers because of this partnership with Sinclair. So we're really grateful to Sinclair, also grateful to Jake because he's one of our ambassadors helping to spread the good news. So appreciate that, Jake. Kayla.
So when I was initially deciding where I wanted to go to school, I thought I had my heart set on Notre Dame. I'm not going to lie. That was like, my dream school. And I hadn't looked too much into Dayton because I was kind of stubborn. And my mom always told me, why don't you look at the University of Dayton? But I never wanted to believe that my mom was right. And so I was like, no, Mom, I want to go to Notre Dame. But we had to have a lot of tough conversations about like what my future would look like in college. And what it could look like attending Notre Dame, and that really did not look like a real possibility just because of the financial burden. Similar to Amira, my parents value very much a Catholic education, and so all of my siblings and I, we've attended Catholic schools throughout grade school, and I have two younger siblings that attend Catholic high schools. And so we just had to have a lot of those conversations, and when I ultimately did not get into Notre Dame, I stepped foot on Dayton, and I realized that this was my true home. And thankfully, with the scholarships, it made that decision so much more easy to make, knowing that I could attend this university with comfort and financially and be able to thrive much more than I would be at Notre Dame. I knew that, as throughout my 4 years, but even, first semester freshman year, I realized that rejection letter from Notre Dame was probably one of the best things that have ever happened to me, to be able to be here at the University of Notre Dame, or the University of Dayton.
Oh, ouch.
I'm sorry, I've had too much coffee this morning, so my words are all jumbled in my mind. The University of Dayton. And so, no, I'm extremely thankful for the financial aid opportunities and the donor scholarships that have, again, continued to not allow me to attend here, but stay here. And I also have an extra semester. I'll get into a little bit of my story of how I switched to be an accounting major middle of my junior year. So I also have an extra semester, but again, I would not have been able to pursue that without the help of financial assistance through the donors.
Thank you, Kayla. I won't even make a joke.
Thank you.
I'll just say on behalf of the entire room, we're glad that you're here as part of our community. Jake, as a non-traditional student, tell us about your journey to UD.
Whew, that's a long story. So my story, it was something I used to be embarrassed about and kind of ashamed of as to my first go at college not going too well. And as I got older, it was something that I instead learned to embrace and decided to learn from. And instead use it as a way to inspire not only myself, but potential other students and eventually my own children. So my first go at college, I went to Bowling Green State University in 2007, and I was there on a Army ROTC scholarship, and so things were going well. But my first go at college did not go as well as I'd planned. I was far too focused on the social aspect of college, and I fall very heavy into to both alcohol and substance abuse. I became heavily addicted to like pain pills and things like that, and ended up struggling with addiction while at Bowling Green, which led me to leave college at a young age. About the same time, my late father, was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, and kind of the bottom fell out, so to speak. And so I made the decision to step away from college and kind of get into the workforce and reevaluate. And through intervention and through help from friends, family, my girlfriend, now wife, luckily, stepped in and got me the help that I needed to kind of get away from that and, get the aid that I needed. And I ended up moving into the workforce, and I worked at Staples for almost 9 years. And I worked up through the ranks. I became the youngest store manager in the company, had a lot of success while I was there. I was making very good money. I was on the road to be a district manager with the company. But I kind of knew I wasn't where I was supposed to be. This is not what I wanted to do with my life. I'd kind of discovered that, during those years that teaching is what I'd always had a passion for. And even before my father passed away, he had kind of always said that teaching and coaching is kind of what he always figured I would become. It's like he knew before I knew. So in that time, I got married, and, we had our first daughter, Riley, was born in 2017, when I was kind of in the heart of my career with Staples. And the first year of her life, I was barely home. I was traveling. I was working 70 hours a week. I was working every weekend, every holiday. And so I was barely home for that. And I kind of had to step back and reevaluate and decide what was best for our marriage, for life, for everything. So I made the decision to go back to school, and I enrolled at Sinclair in the spring of 2019, stepping away from Staples and kind of taking that big leap. And it was a big change because we were in a big house in Centerville, and we had to sell that house and downsize into a smaller house in Miamisburg so we could live off of just her income, so that we could make this happen. So it was a big decision we had to make as a family for me to go back to school. So we did all of that, and I started at Sinclair. And then, like I mentioned, I learned about the UD Sinclair Academy and was able to get into that program. And then I was able to then transfer here to the University of Dayton, where so far I've had a lot of success, and I've been moving up through the program. And I decided to be a UD Sinclair Academy student ambassador. I applied for the job, like you mentioned, Jason, because kind of like through deciding I wanted to be a teacher, I wanted to be an ambassador to help the transition for other students. And the program has been so valuable to me as a non-traditional student, and the value of it, that when I realized from Julia, who's my boss, and she's been kind of heading up the program, when I realized that it's a new program and so many students didn't know about it, I was like, how could you not know about it? Like, this program is like, it's just common sense to me. Like, why would you not want to do this? Why would you not want to save tens of thousands of dollars? Like, it's common sense. So I kind of became a big advocate as a student for the program. Like, everyone I know, I'm like telling them about the program. Like, of course, going to UD for 4 years is great, but like, if financially you can't afford that, like Sinclair and then transitioning, you can still make it to UD and go to your dream school. You know, like, why wouldn't you want to do that? So I went into the academy, and now here I am in my senior year, and I've just been so blessed by the academy and been blessed to be awarded the William Mohr Scholarship, and as well as the Osher Reentry Scholarship, and to be where I'm at. And it's been a long journey, but I'm so happy that I'm here, and I keep telling myself I did it not just for myself, but I think I've done it for my family and for my daughters, and I think also kind of for my dad, so he'd stop yelling at me. So there we go.
Thanks a lot, Jake. You know, it's so common. Students will indicate that UD has blessed them. Jake used that word. I think it's fair to say that we're blessed to have Jake as part of us. Amira, why do you think it is important to serve in your various leadership positions on campus?
So I'm involved in a lot on campus. I'm a resident assistant. I'm an academic success ambassador through the Multi-Ethnic Education and Engagement Center. I'm also a lead supervisor for facilities and equipment at Campus Recreation. Among other things, I'm also the president of the Multicultural Programming Council and a peers mentor for the Multi-Ethnic Education and Engagement Center. And like I said, I'm the oldest of 5. My brother goes to Notre Dame. My sister goes to Boston College. My next sister is in high school, and my youngest sister is in 5th grade. And so being a leader came really natural to me growing up. Like, it was never a choice. It just happened. And I'm so blessed to be the oldest in my family, and so thankful for that opportunity that I've had to lead others. Growing up, I was always aware of the fact that my siblings were looking up to me and watching my steps, even if they were mistakes also. And so my leadership on campus came very natural, and I'm really blessed to have those opportunities. When I was a freshman on campus, there were a lot of upperclassmen who I really looked up to, and my goal throughout college was to have that same impact that those people had on me, on others, and I think that I'm able to do that in my leadership positions. If you've heard me talk about this before, I always say that, like, success doesn't mean anything unless you're reaching around and bringing up the next person with you, so that they have the same opportunities or more to succeed also. And so leadership's important to me, to reach back, give back to the community, and give others the opportunity to lead and step up in those roles after I'm gone here. So that's why it's important to me.
Thank you, Amira. So often, that extra scholarship support allows students like Amira to take those leadership roles and to fulfill them so well. We're grateful, Amira. Kayla, tell us how someone goes from being a religious studies major to an accounting major.
I get this question a lot, so I have practiced this a little bit, but different aspects of my story come in and out because there is a lot. So I have felt a very strong call to ministry for so many years. Since high school, I feel like I've always just been very attracted to ministry, and I feel like that's something that God has placed on my heart. And I knew that whatever I wanted to do in terms of my career, I wanted it to all be for the glory of God and to build God's kingdom. Those were kind of like my mantras in thinking about what I wanted to study. And I previously thought that the only path towards this was a religious studies major. And so I did that very confidently, freshman and sophomore year. People would ask me, why I wanted to do this, and I always gave a very confident answer, and I very much thought that religious studies was my path. But God has an interesting sense of humor. I always think I know my future, But God has always a different story, which is, just been very fun to learn about. Vocation is amazing. And so when junior year rolled around, I didn't really feel called to some of the classes that I was taking at the time, or that they were completely relevant or necessary for what I wanted to do with my life. As I mentioned, I had felt drawn to since freshman year also the nonprofit world. I have always wanted to, I've always thought that prison ministry was so neat and passionate, and I've always wanted to serve with formerly incarcerated and addicted individuals. And so with a pull of the heart and lots of time to think, because this was a 2-week quarantine at the beginning of my junior year, I kind of really began to think about if a religious studies major was actually what I wanted to pursue. And I was able to hear the voice of God so clearly. My roommates can attest to this. I went on a run, and I wanted to have a movie moment, and going for a run, I was like, all right, God is going to speak so clearly to me about what I want to do, because I'm like, do I leave religious studies? Do I go into management? And really look at the nonprofit aspect and the business side a little bit more. And so I went on this run expecting to have a movie moment, and the first half of the run was not that great. I also have asthma, and I think I just kind of forgot to take my inhaler. I was just so excited. And then I kind of started to pause and start walking a little bit, and I was really thinking about this management major a little bit more. And I so distinctly heard God's voice say, "Go build my kingdom," and thinking about business. And so I sprinted back. I was so excited. I was like, I'm going to go build God's kingdom. And so I started off as a management major, like I said. And so with any business major that you take, you have to take all the different business classes, finance, marketing. So I was an intro to financial accounting. And I realized how much I loved accounting, which is so weird. I never would have thought, being a freshman, I always had the stereotype that accounting was a boring desk job, and I'm such a people person. I'm such an extrovert. I love working with people. And so accounting was the last thing on my radar, as much as my dad always wanted me to do it. I really realized how much I did see God in accounting and the beauty of it and how much joy it brought me, and which is, again, something I never thought I'd say. I'm so thankful for the assistance of my advisor, Sue Trainham, who, with all the twists and turns of what I wanted to do, first with the switch to management, and then I was like, maybe I'll do an accounting minor. And she was like, you do not have time for that. And I was like, all right, maybe I'll do an accounting major, and, keeping a religious studies minor, and then also pursuing a nonprofit and leadership graduate certificate. We've configured my schedule a number of times. And so I'm so thankful for her assistance and, always just being so patient with me with all the twists and turns that I threw at her during this process. And also when I switched to the initial major of management, I'm so thankful for all the professors that stuck by me. I was 2 weeks behind in all my classes when I switched because this was 2 weeks into my junior year. And again, we were in quarantine. This was COVID times. And so instead of them just telling me what I needed to do for the class, they all took a genuine interest in my success and asked me, well, how are you doing with all of this? How are you doing with the pandemic? How are you doing, balancing this class load? And why are you switching? And so I was so thankful that they took a genuine interest in me. My intro to financial accounting professor, Dr. Marcia Keene, was also so helpful and supportive. She's not only helped me, switch to the major. After one of the exams, she really asked me, I think that, or have you ever considered being an accounting major? And I don't say this lightly. That was kind of the last straw into switching to be an accounting major after having dreams about balance sheets before exams, if that wasn't enough. She was kind of the last push that I needed, and even after taking her course, she helped me as I began to network with different firms and talk to them, help prepare me for my interview, so I'm so thankful for her mentorship and support even after I left her class. The Chamonix Scholars program also allowed me very much to grow in understanding of what vocation and discernment looks like and how I can find the beauty of God in all things. And I truly found beauty in balancing a balance sheet or reconciling a bank statement. And again, that I can pursue the glory of God and build his kingdom in a way that doesn't have to be a religious studies major. So I'm so thankful for that program and helping me recognize that. A little bit more about the Chamonix Scholars program. It also allows interested honors students to explore faith and vocation in an interdisciplinary community. All the Chamonix Scholars engage in a common set of seminar-style courses to help each other along their ways, again, on vocation and discernment, and retreats designed to help deepen the relationships among the cohort. So I soon realized that I could build the kingdom of God in pursuing an accounting major, growing in my understanding of the business world, and knowing more on how to keep nonprofit financially healthy. So that was a bit of a long story, but that's how a religious studies major becomes an accounting major. And it would be different for anyone, but that's my story.
Thank you, Kayla. I really appreciate you sharing your faith, and also appreciate what we're hearing from each of our three panelists who have shared so far, this sense of holistic education that is provided here at UD, and only possible through the support of our donors. Keely, how have your experiences at UD shaped you into the person you are today?
So when I was a freshman, I started off living on the Women in Science and Engineering floor, and that was probably one of the best places I could be. I was surrounded by my peers who had similar interests to mine. I met some of my closest friends, and now they're my roommates. And we all shared similar goals. We had classes together, and it was probably one of the best times freshman year that I could have had. And then this is my fourth time co-oping at an engineering firm, and at the engineering firm, I've been able to be introduced to work under the supervision of professional engineers, been introduced to different companies, and just kind of learn about civil engineering, not from a textbook, but from real world experiences. And one specific time last summer, I was the team leader for a group of interns, and we were tasked with coming up with a solution to a problem we saw at the company. And the problem we saw was that the first week of a new hire was extremely overwhelming. So we came up with a set schedule that HR and supervisors could all follow to make this process a little bit easier. And as the team leader, I learned a lot about cooperation, communication, project management, because both of my team members, they were in different states and different time zones. So it really taught me a lot about working as a team. And then overall, I feel like I'm not the same person that I was when I started college. I have clear goals of what I want to do, and I also know that when I get a job, I know that I want to be happy and be happy with what I'm doing and be proud of my work instead of just doing a job, going 9 to 5 every day. So.
Thank you, Keely. Learn, lead, and serve is a motto that we all say often about UD. The last question that I'll ask our panelists is essentially, how do you envision yourself continue to learn, lead, and serve after graduation? We'll start with Kayla.
So once again, I'm very much discerning what my future will look like post-grad, and I know that I should not have a set plan of what I want to do, because often it's not at all what God has for me. So that's just always been interesting. But a couple of options that I'm discerning with right now include a full-time position with Deloitte, a year of service in prison ministry or some other year of service program, grad school with UD and pursuing an MBA or MPA or something with all of the above. I feel very called to service and ministry, and I think in deferring my offer with Deloitte for a year, I could study for my CPA or also pursue grad school. So I'm dwelling on a couple of these things. However, I do have a dream to run my own nonprofit one day, ministering to those recovering from addiction and or coming out of prison, assisting them into their reentry into society. And I very much believe that learn, lead, and serve applies to this dream that God has placed on my heart. I am pursuing a nonprofit and leadership graduate certificate through UD, which has helped me to gain the confidence and skill set that I need to fulfill this dream. I am beyond excited to continue to learn more about who the person of Jesus is in and through others, and how I can run towards the Lord more and learning to love like Jesus in the learn aspect. I have grown in my desire for this through the Busy Persons Retreat, working with one-on-one and a graduate assistant through campus ministry, who has led me to different resources and inspired me in this way. She's offered me different podcasts or pieces of scripture to pray with. I'm also thankful for the opportunity to attend adoration on campus through Catholic Life, which has allowed me to simply rest and be known by our Lord in the Blessed Sacrament. In terms of leading, ministry has been something, again, on my heart since high school, and I have had such a passion for sharing the gospel with others. And ultimately, I feel a call to lead others towards recognizing their own belovedness in God and recognizing their inherent human dignity. I have been able to foster this through the peer discipleship ministry program at UD, also in campus ministry. So I journey one-on-one with a student through a guided resource weekly as we dive into a specific piece of scripture. I'm also assisting to be a leader for those journeying in the RCIA process, which has been an incredible experience thus far, seeing peers my age really want to take their faith so seriously and growing with them as they want to learn more about the Catholic faith. In terms of serving, I want my whole life, again, to be in service for God, and I want to recognize that I don't have the answer to fix everyone's problems because sometimes I don't even have the answer to fix my own problems, and that being a servant for the Lord doesn't mean to fix the problems of others, but really just to walk with one another in our weakness and brokenness and build community in this way. I don't see myself as someone who can't help everyone's problems. I don't have the ability to do that. Rather, as someone who can listen to others and hold their hand and guide them to recognize their God-given gifts and talents. And I've been able to explore this passion through my position with the Fit Center of Leadership and Community here at the university. I serve as a program assistant for UD Community Corps, which is a program that I also partook in over the summer of 2020. I served as a landlord liaison, calling landlords throughout Montgomery County, asking them about their rental policies or if they had any available housing. And so now I serve as a program assistant for UD Community Corps, which is an AmeriCorps program that the university has. And this program has really opened my eyes to so many different perspectives and broadened my horizons on different root causes of social injustices in the Dayton community. So those are kind of my three little ways that I want to continue to learn, lead, and serve after my time at Dayton. And I know that there will be so many different opportunities that I can't even think of now, but I'm so thankful for the university to have given me the skill set and toolbox to be able to pursue learning, leading, and serving now and for all the years to come.
Thank you, Kayla. Jake.
Excuse me. So after I get my bachelor's degree as a middle school teacher, there will obviously already be a lot of serving involved when it comes to teaching, especially with middle schoolers. I've already started to learn that middle schoolers are a handful, but I love them, and I think that they're very misunderstood and that they're fascinating, and I think that I'm right where I need to be. I've also started to realize that I'm going to learn just as much from them as what they're going to learn from me, and that's already starting to be something that I'm enjoying this semester with all the teaching that I'm doing. But in terms of what I want to do in the future, I've already talked about how I want to return to UD to get my master's degree in either administration or something in guidance. And I look at administration because being in schools and kind of seeing things that have happened in my hometown and teachers going on strike with issues with administration, I start to see and hear and read about some issues where we're failing our teachers and where administration is failing our teachers and some of the struggles that teachers have to deal with. And I feel that I can be the type of person that can advocate for teachers effectively. I think I have the right personality for it, and I think as them becoming a teacher, that's something that the University of Dayton can help prepare me for, and that I would have a skill set to be able to do that. So that's something that I'm considering, is to move into administration so that I can use my leadership abilities to help fight for teachers and help fight for our students to help make sure that our education system is working effectively. Because I think a lot of people agree that our education system is not where it needs to be for our students. And I think that we need the right people in positions to help with that. And so that's one thing. Then also with my experience and my past and the issues that I've had and of overcoming addiction, I've also considered looking into guidance counseling and things of that sort, because I think that my experiences will help connect me with students in a way that I can help them in guiding them through similar situations, whether it be family members, whether it be themselves, and I can help them through that and help them prepare for their own futures. So those are the two main things that I'm wanting to do down the road. I think it's going to depend on the school districts that I'm in and things like that. Obviously, there's a lot to take into account. But got to graduate and get into the classroom, into a school district first. But I think that's my calling, is going to be something in administration or guidance.
Thank you, Jake. And as a father of a rising middle school daughter myself, I may have to buy you coffee soon. Keely.
So during my senior year, I plan on taking the Fundamentals of Engineering exam, also known as the FE, to become an engineer in training. And then the long-term goal is to become a licensed professional engineer, but that's a little into the future. And then in terms of serving, I am a river steward with the Fitz Center, and we focus a lot on civic engagement and leadership in the community, and we meet with people outside in the Dayton community and talk with them. And so I kind of want to continue that after I graduate, continue serving the community and volunteering at various places. And then as a civil engineer, I feel like that is, we can serve a lot to the community as well. We work in transportation, structural, environmental, and the buildings that we are in, the roads that we drive on are all civil engineers have taken part and have helped design. So I feel like that's what I want to do is kind of help the community in that way.
Thank you, Keely, and really appreciate your spirit of commitment to our community that we're hearing as a loud theme this morning. Amira.
So I graduate in May of 2022, and I'm very excited. I love school, but I'm definitely planning on taking a gap year. I've applied for a Fulbright fellowship, so we're waiting to hear about that. But if not, I want to work for a year in a legal or nonprofit field. I'm majoring in sociology and criminal justice with minors in Africana studies and race and social justice, and I'm really passionate about criminal justice reform. And so the long-term plan would be law school and possibly grad school to get a master's in sociology. But again, I really want to work in some kind of criminal justice field and work on criminal justice reform through law. And I would like to be a civil rights or criminal defense attorney or work in a nonprofit. Because I'm really passionate about giving marginalized communities opportunities to succeed, like I've been given. And what kind of led me to this field is definitely the scholarships that I've received have helped me with that. Through experiential learning, like studying abroad. I studied abroad in Maine, Ireland, where I took classes on restorative justice and youth justice. I've been to a ton of conferences. One of them that really stands out for me is the Association for the Study of African American Life and History through an organization on campus called Black Action Through Unity, where I learned a lot about race and identity and how these things intersect with academia and discourse and dialogue around that. So that was really interesting for me. I also participated in DC Flyers last summer, where I learned more about government relations and advocacy, and none of these opportunities would have been possible without the help of donors, and so I'm really thankful for that. That's led me to what I want to do after graduation.
Thank you, Amira. If you all are like me, this has been an amazing half hour of inspiration from our student scholars, all made possible because of the collective room's commitment to providing our students with the best access to high-quality education in a holistic way so that they can pursue their dreams, set their sights high, and we've heard a lot about that this morning. I'm now going to turn it over to Jake, and I'll release the other panelists to your seats.
Thank you, Jason, for moderating this panel, and to my fellow students for sharing your powerful stories. They are a perfect way to kick off Donor Appreciation Week and to celebrate the generosity of our donors. We appreciate you and the opportunity to show our gratitude. With your support, UD is truly reaching new heights by taking a top-tier Catholic education accessible to more students, preparing students for the workforce through hands-on learning experiences, and leading the way in faculty research and innovation. On behalf of all UD scholarship students, thank you for the impact you are making on UD. Have a great day.